I gave my husband's collector car to my ex for a good cause, but it destroyed my life. I was married to Daniel for nearly 5 years. We had a comfortable life, nothing extraordinary, but we were happy. I loved him deeply, and he was my world. However, it was one conversation that would unravel everything. Out of the blue, I received a message from my ex, Paul. We hadn't spoken in years, and I didn't know what to expect. Hesitant, I replied. Paul was going through a tough time. He said no job, no prospects, and he was feeling down. I remembered Paul as a man full of potential, someone who had always dreamed of owning his own taxi business. But like many, life had been cruel to him, and now he was desperate. He told me that renting a car to start his business was impossible for him. The costs were too high. He wasn't asking for money, just a chance. The idea of him wanting to rebuild his life made me feel pity, so I started to think about how I could help. Then it hit me. I could give him the old car Daniel had barely used. It was a classic, something Daniel had inherited from his grandfather. I knew it had sentimental value, but to me, it was just sitting there collecting dust. It seemed like the right thing to do. Daniel never used the car. Why not give it to someone who could actually use it? I didn't tell him I thought he would understand. I thought it would be a small sacrifice for a good cause, but in hindsight, that decision would cost me everything. I met Paul one rainy afternoon, handed him the keys, and told him it was his. He was shocked, almost speechless, but he accepted, and I felt like I had done something good. He thanked me over and over, and in that moment, I truly believed I had helped him. It wasn't until later that I realized how naive I had been. Daniel found out about the car the next day. I had hoped he wouldn't notice, but when he came home, his face told me everything. He demanded to know where his car was. I tried to calm him down, but there was no way to avoid it. I had to tell him the truth. The look on his face was something he'll never forget. It wasn't just anger, it was betrayal. That car was a piece of his family's legacy, and I had given it away without a second thought. Daniel told me I had destroyed something irreplaceable. He didn't care about the good deed anymore. He wanted the car back, and if I didn't fix this, our marriage would be over. I panicked. The next day, I went to Paul, hoping to fix everything. But when I asked him to return the car, he looked at me like I was crazy. He had already sold it for parts. My heart sank. The car was gone, and what's worse, it was sold for a quick profit. Paul had lied to me, used my kindness, and then thrown me aside. I tried to explain to Daniel what had happened, but he wouldn't hear it. He started the divorce proceedings, and the court ruled that I owed him the full value of the car. I couldn't believe it. I had lost everything, my husband, my dignity, and the respect of my family. Weeks later, I learned the truth. Paul hadn't just sold the car. He had used it for parts. The car, a collector's gem, was worth a small fortune. My lawyer explained that since the car had been passed down through Daniel's family, it wasn't considered part of our joint assets. I had to pay for it, and I didn't have the means to do so. My life crumbled. Daniel left me, and I was left with nothing but a pile of debt and regret. Paul disappeared, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. Even my family turned their backs on me, condemning me for what I had done. Now, I live in a small apartment, barely scraping by. I still think about what happened, how I thought I was helping, only to destroy everything I held dear. I can't turn back time. I can't undo the mistake I made, but I've learned one painful lesson. Kindness can be manipulated, and good intentions can destroy your life. The worst part is that I'll always have to live with the consequences of my actions, and no matter how much I wish I could, I'll never get that car back.